Welcome, dear viewers, to The Sacred Calling, a program that helps us have a glimpse into the unique life of the priests and sisters in the Catholic Church by listening to their vocation stories. We know that every person has a story to tell, and the aim of this program is to understand the role of the sacred code in the church and their mission to save others. My name is Sidin Mwamainda, and before I introduce a special on sacred calling, let us take this break and then we'll come back later. You are watching The Sacred Calling on Lumen TV Zambia, and today our special guest comes all the way from Monze Diocese. His name is Father Spencer Nyendwa. Father, welcome to this program.
Thank you very much, Sydney, and thank you for having me here.
Most welcome, Father Nyendwa.
Father Spencer Joseph Nyendwa is a Zambian. Grew up in Choma from a Catholic home, and Father Spencer is the firstborn of 10 children, 8 as of, and I am the firstborn. That is very briefly Father Spencer.
Okay, so Father, how was it for you to discern that you were called to this vocation of the priesthood?
In my home parish of Choma, there came a priest from the U parish for about 5 years, from 1974 to... And during that time, this man, Norman Johnston, was very good organizing the boys for scouts and altar servers. One day after serving Mass, he stood outside the door of the church and he was being greeted. And I came out because the greeting was unusual. Father, oh, what happens next? That moment, the spark was lit in me. And I said, I would like to be like this man who is very good to small ones, who has a lot of time for many people. I would like to be like this man. And that's where my vocation started.
First fruit being given to God.
Coming from a Catholic home, first my mother was very supportive. My dad always gave caution. If you are going to become a priest, do it well and be a good priest. But always my mother got on table to pray the rosary. So she inspired me and she supported me. All my siblings were very supportive.
Great. Yeah. Okay. And now, in terms of seminary, where did it begin from, and then bring us up to the day of ordination?
Right. I went to Mukasa Minor Seminary in Choma, dedicated to nurturing young men to have probably have an impetus to respond to the priesthood. So from Mukasa, I graduated Mukasa Secondary School in 1988 and went in the following year, 1989, to Emmaus Spirituality Center in Lusaka, where we had a year of spirituality studies. After that year, we proceeded on to Mpima Major Seminary in Kabwe, where we did the philosophy and humanities. After philosophy and humanities in Mpima, we came to St. Dominic's Major Seminary, the final stage in the seminary formation for the diocesan priests in Zambia. And I completed seminary at St. Dominic's in 1905. I was ordained deacon and sent back to the diocese. At the time, our bishop was Bishop Paul Lungu, a very good bishop who designed the formation program, giving all those who had completed St. Dominic's another year in the diocese. So I served a year in the diocese before becoming or being ordained a priest. I was ordained priest in Monze at Manungu in 1997, 26th July, the feast of So I am 27 years in the priesthood this year.
Okay. Okay, so 27 years ago you were ordained priest, and then tell us, where have you worked and your experiences in serving the church and the people of God?
It was very few that were there. Bishop Paul Lungu asked that year those who were ordained, the 5 of us, to consider going to work in a Donum priest. So I happened to be the first Fidei Donum priest to go and work in Zimbabwe. It was a new diocese at the time, the Diocese of Gokwe. So 1997, November 21st, Bishop Paul Lungu brought me into Gokwe, where I worked in the rural diocese, in the rural parish, for 5 years, from 1997 to 2002. That was my first experience. And it was a good one. It was a tough one because I was not prepared for it. The only preparation was pep talk, as it were, as Bishop brought me to my new and first placement. The second 5 years, I came back to take over a parish that was being run by the Holy Ghost Fathers, Pemba Parish, Christ the King. So I was the first diocesan priest from Monze to be in charge of Pemba Parish. And I stayed in Pemba Parish for 5 years, from 2002 to 2007. A little rest. In August of 2007, I was asked to go and do development work as in charge of justice and peace in the diocese and also advocacy officer in the development department, now Caritas Monze. I stayed in Caritas Monze for 5 years, up till 2012. Looks like 5 years is a rhythm, a theme that is running. Yeah. So after those 5 years in 2012, end of 2012, I was asked by Bishop Emilio then to consider and ask that I do schoolwork, chaplaincy in secondary schools. And the first placement was in Mazabuka, where I was chaplain for St. Edmunds and Mazabuka Girls and the surrounding schools that I gave pastoral care to. I left Assumption as a chaplain to St. Edmunds and Mazabuka Girls in 2016. I went to St. Joseph's Secondary School in Chivuna, where I stayed for 5 years as chaplain. Again, 5 years for the girls' school. It's the prestigious girls' school, a big girls' school, and needed a resident chaplain. But staying in the parish and going to minister and give pastoral care to the children in school, at the same time teaching in the school, because chaplaincy happens in a context. Yeah. After those 5 years, I left Chivuna in 2021 in February, and I went to have a quiet ministry of retreat and reflection and spiritual direction in St. Kizito Pastoral Center, where I stayed for a year and a half. And in 2023, Bishop Raphael asked me to go and begin a new parish in Choma, which is next to Mukasa Minor Seminary. I was excited, super excited, because I was going for the first time to work in my home parish. And I knew people there. And so it was familiar ground. And I was bringing with me lots of good experiences and lessons learned. It didn't last. I stayed in Choma for about 6 weeks, and I got a call from the bishop to ask me to consider to do chaplaincy in the UK with the Zambian people in the UK and Wales. It was a very difficult situation because it was like a call within a call. I had not yet unpacked my bags. Bishop asked me, in fact, it is ZCCB, Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, who asked that I consider to do chaplaincy with the Zambian Catholics in England and Wales. And I am 1 year, 6 months, 7 months now in the UK. I reported in my new apostolate in the UK on 25th May 2023. So that I am now. A very different ministry, an exciting ministry, new territory, new challenge, but nonetheless a call that we have to respond to, a sacred call that we have to respond to.
As you mentioned where you've worked, we want to hear some of those excitements that you can share with us that you've experienced so far.
Yeah. Well, having worked so many years with children in schools, just to see the young people grow, that was very exciting. To be allowed into the lives of these children and their families back home, to be the person that they could easily confide in, it's been very, very exciting. To be honest, a privilege to be letting the lives of young people very open, but at the same time with older people trusting you with their children. And so this has been very exciting.
One, you mentioned 2 excitements in Mukasa, that new parish,
Yes.
and also Chivuna.
Yes.
One would have thought you would be sharing experiences of being in the UK as the climax.
Well, I am learning to be a chaplain in the UK among Zambian migrants who have gone to work in the UK and live life there. It is exciting, but also it is a very different terrain. The church is different from Zambia. For instance, the face of the Catholic Church in the UK is largely migrants, literally from all the world. So the challenge to motivate, the challenge to inspire, and just to grow and strengthen the faith, because the Zambian people in the UK are actually ministering to the people of England and Wales and witnessing to their faith. This too is exciting but very challenging because the culture is different. The culture in the UK and Wales is different. So I have to learn, and I am learning to get into understand how to work in that new field.
Some also brought her back with this situation of you come from St. Dominic's and then you go back to the diocese and then you stay for another year and then that's when you're ordained. I hear people complain, I was kept and the like. How do you take it? I've just learned it started a long time ago.
Bishop Paul Lungu was visionary. He was a formator. Remember, he was appointed bishop straight from the novitiate in Chelmsford and made bishop. So obviously after his appointment, he also assumed the responsibility of bishop director for seminaries. So he had loads and loads of insight in terms of formation. That 1 year he gave us to wait before ordination to the priesthood was a gem. He saw at the time the necessity to give students, young people, coming out of the seminary, a real life experience in the parishes, and to do ministry as deacon in the parishes. That 12 years later, after it was reversed, because after his passing, our diocese ordained priests straight from seminary. But there were challenges. There were challenges, and the number of priests that left in those years is just amazing. And so the bishop then, Emilio, brought back the years of waiting and reflection. Now it is a year, sometimes 2 years. It is valuable time to allow the person, because this is a calling for a lifetime. The sacred calling is for a lifetime. It is not a contract. It's a life, the well of life that you ought to prepare very well and to take time. You cannot rush it.
Okay. Father, in 27 years of service, what would be your definition of what priesthood is?
The priesthood, you see, the sacred calling. The priesthood is God's presence with his people. The priest is a symbol of God's presence with his people in all circumstances. And that's why it takes years to train a priest, because they will want to stretch you and you will still have to bounce back and come back and not snap, because the experiences of people in the world today are immense and tremendous, and there has to be somebody that people can be inspired to hold on and to know that God has not left them, even when they are in very serious challenges like we have now, and we are looking for direction. And the priest today is actually really needed for our society today. They want stability, they want direction, and the priest is able to give that. The religious are able to give that, and that's why it is sacred. It is holy ground.
Okay. Now, Father, with that said, every life has challenges, and priesthood, I hear, is not something easy to live and to sustain. What kind of challenges have you faced in your life as a priest?
Sometimes the expectations from people of a priest to be everything, that can be a challenge. They want you to be the banker, they want you to be the doctor, they want you to be everything. It can be challenging, and sometimes how to moderate can be a challenge. It can also come from home. We are, as a diocesan priest in Zambia, I come from a home, and by and large the homes that we come from are modest, and sometimes you have siblings, you have nieces, you have nephews that would like support and help from you, and sometimes it can be a challenge to find that support. Yes, unmet expectations for the priest himself, and the complexity of being a leader in the community with very diverse people can be a challenge.
Okay, and how do you overcome those?
Everyday celebration of the Eucharist, prayer, the sacrifice of Holy Mass. It's a sacred calling, you know, and the center of this calling is prayer, the Holy Mass. Every day, the sacrifice of Mass. That brings back to focus and recalibrate a priest that may be finding it very hard to get their balance. So prayer, the sacrifice of Mass, everyday ministry, hearing confessions, being present to the sick, going to visit those in prison, and just allowing yourself to listen to those that need to be listened to. This helps the priest to be centered and also to manage some of these challenges.
When we started this program or interview, you said when you told your priest, your parents that you want to be a priest, they said, if you want this journey, want this vocation, be a good priest.
Yeah.
Have you ever regretted being a priest?
I will make the decision that I made 27 years ago to present myself for ordination. It has been an exciting journey. Obviously, not for the faint-hearted. Sometimes I've run out of energy and steam. And just a little story, because I had run out of steam at some point and really frustrated, and I was saying, this is a thankless job. I went to do bungee in Livingstone. Probably I'm the first diocesan priest to do bungee. And I did it, and I said, I'm going to stretch myself. And when I came back, those ropes brought me back. I said, this is it. I'm not going to give up. I will hold on. It was for me like a leap of faith. And the rope didn't snap. So, and I know God will not let me down. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Father, as we go on with this program, and then maybe even winding up now, there could be someone, a young man, watching and saying, Father Spencer, we've been touched with your story, your vocation story, and then still not decided. What would be your words to such a one? Could be even a lady who is thinking of sisterhood.
Yes. The young people are not looking for a simple life. They are looking for something challenging. And the priesthood and the religious life, the brotherhood, it's not an easy life. It's not a simple life. It is something also very attractive to young people because they love challenge. Talk to your priest. Talk to your sisters. Talk to your parents. Call the priests. Get in touch with those that are near and speak with them. Engage them. And they will help and support you, because the priesthood is not something for me to hold on to. It is something I pass on to. Invited me, motivated me, and I am doing the same. So, identify the priest nearest to you, a sister nearest to you. Do not be afraid. It is a noble calling. It is a sacred calling. And you are always with God. Thank you.
Dear viewers, you are watching The Sacred Calling, and Father Spencer is the sacred code for this episode today. Until next time, when we come again with another one who is sacred code, bye for now.